Really shove that in there, it's got to be really tight. I'm going to fold the end over a couple of times. That's then going to go into the bottom of the bag. I'm going to be talking to you about how I pack my bag for the outdoors. Now, big shout out to Fred, Just Fred, and all the others who have commented and left comments about this particular bag I'm wearing here. Okay, this is my Helikon 22 litre EDC backpack, which I've heavily hybridized using bits and materials from I found up in the attic from my past life as a Royal Marine Commando, and I've now brought together to make what I feel is the very best of everything for the sort of thing that I do in the outdoors. Okay, that kind of grey space, that sort of slower paced bushcraft stuff, with the sort of micro expedition or micro adventure element to it as well. Okay, so I'm going to take you through packing this bag, starting off down here and then heading back to the bag. My knife, my saw, my lighter, and my emergency map, which is my foldable splash map, which is a bit like the escape maps that they used to get in World War II, a bit like my granddad had one in silk on the inside of his trousers, which was a map of Italy with Switzerland enlarged on the other side. These living are on my person and aren't really kind of counted in this, but I've put them in for the purpose of the video. You've then got a diamond tarpaulin. Okay, this is the Ticket to the Moon diamond tarpaulin that I've done a video about before. So that's us here now on the edge of the woodland. I've set up my diamond tarp in an open configuration. You've then got the map, the actual map, and I have to the right waterproofed thermal underlayer. Okay, trousers, vacuum packed, a small amount, basic sort of 6 or 8 tent pegs. These 2 canoe bags, which are usually housing a Ticket to the Moon hammock, which sits inside another little waterproof bag. Okay, and then the actual Gore-Tex bivvy bag that I've laid everything out on here as well. Obviously the sleeping bag is another, so that's kind of your sleep system. Nalgene bottle with the Stanley nesting cup, and I've got the lid here. What self-respected bootneck would be without his racing spoon. In terms of personal admin, you've just got some eco-friendly soap wash stuff here. This is toothbrush. Okay, so fold out toothbrush. You've got a microfiber towel. Over there is your millbank bag, your British military millbank bag. Water bottle 1, dirty water bottle 2, clean water bottle. I've got the Crusader mug on there as well, so another additional thing to be able to cook with. They come with a lid, which you can buy as an aftermarket. A little bit of folded up tin foil for cooking purposes, always handy. Some fish spreaders when you're trying to touch things that are absolutely hotter than the sun. There is a chemical snap light in here. Okay, so military grade chemical snap light that will give me up to 12 hours of light if I absolutely needed it. The top secret aromat, which goes with absolutely everything. It makes squirrels taste good. Okay, inside here is a waterproof match lighting kit, which I've created. Luxury toilet paper. Okay. You use that and then you're on the leaves. MSR pocket rocket, gas bottle. You've got your first aid kit, which sits in this little pot here. Now this black pot here is rather interesting because this is Trex. Trex is neither animal nor dairy. Okay, this is the byproduct of making vegetable oil, and I can use it on my lips as a lip salve. Works perfectly well in that way. I can wipe it over the blade of my knife, and I can cook with it. So it does all three. It's the holy trinity. We've got some 8mm rope as our ridge line and some backup. We've got one of these little brightly coloured paracord reels or spools here. They're quite useful. Okay, with the torch I'm rolling with this little Protect. It's got a USB charging point on the inside there, and then I've just got a red filter on it just for use at night time. Not that I really need to be tactical anymore, of course, but I think old habits die hard sometimes. Okay, then coming back down here, this is a roll mat, British military standard roll mat, self-inflatable mat. You can find a lot of these on the market. Packs down real small, incredibly lightweight. This really is quite minimal amounts of equipment. So the only things that are really missing from this setup are my food, which would normally be a great big whole chorizo sausage, probably a big lump of cheese, something high calorie. There we go. So that's basically the layout as it is. Let's get into the bag. Okay, so let's take a look at this thing. This is the 22 litre Helikon EDC bag, right? That's the actual rucksack that I've built the rest around. It's got a really fairly decent sized main compartment, okay, in this kind of skinnier compartment on the front here, and then some molly attachment pieces around the side, which I've managed to start fixing things to in an order which works really well for me. So the first thing you're probably going to notice, first and foremost, is I've given it the addition of a proper hip pad, and I've gone with an older model, British military standard model, simply because it's really easy with the clip. It's a good solid buckle, but it's very easy to undo, and you know, when it's time to rest, you want to get that kit off quickly. Whereas I could have obviously built in something more like a much more modern battle belt. This, I think this is a Warrior Systems one. Obviously that's got the addition of having to press there and then depress those as well, so that's extra effort, and quite frankly it doesn't need to be that thick. Also, this is a little bit heavier, and it's actually given me, because it's got a little bit more play in the front here, a bit more adaptability when it came to putting pouches and bits and pieces on here. You'll notice straight away you're not looking at the back of the rucksack. Okay, it's got these two foam ridges down here. You're actually looking at the waterproof cover that just tucks in here and actually really helps my spine with that S shape that I want to try and maintain. So it's really good. And then on the front of these two handles, you've got the chest clip here, which obviously gives me that, I think it's something like a 33% saving of energy and time and effort, and the fact my shoulders aren't trying to pull any weight forward. Straight into it then. Straight into a pretty mean hill, as it just appears to keep climbing. But again, I wouldn't have it any other way. I've then also used this space here to put on two carabiners, which will get used with a sleeping system if I was maybe using a tarpaulin, and if not, if I can use it for rigging a rope or doing something a little bit more interesting. And then you can kind of see here these mad looking beads. For those of you who know what these are, okay, these are pace beads, and these are used for navigating and navigation and knowing how far I've walked. Especially useful at the ground I've covered, maybe in pitch darkness. These are really good. Here all I've done is just attach, using a little bit of bungee, the waterproof cover on there. And then what I've chosen to do, the way I've chosen to load this thing up, is to put the weight around my waist. So as a former Royal Marine, I'm much more adept and used to when it comes to moving in light order, having stuff around my waist. When you're on a commando course and you're doing all your training, you're doing it with 32 pounds of kit, and you've got your rifle on your back, you're going up and down ropes on the Tarzan assault course, everything has to be completed with your sort of basic battle order on and good to go. So I think with that being my background, that's the way I roll. I also like the fact that I can access and get to things on the outside very easily without having to compromise and open up the main pack, have to take the whole thing off my back every single time. So this is a Maxpedtition dump pouch, which in my past life would have been used for throwing empty magazines in. Okay, being on my front left hand pocket, this is absolutely the perfect foraging pouch for me to use now. Okay, so this gets used for foraging. Then we've got this small pouch in here, which I'll have a few items in. So you want to be packing this stuff in the order of what you're most likely to need first. Basically prioritize your bag packing. If you're going to need to get to your water quite often, then have that accessible. I generally have my knife and my saw on me, okay, on my person, along with a lighter, my spare backup map, and usually my hat and my mobile phone, which are just here next to me, okay? And that'll be the items that are on my person should for some reason I ever be separated from my equipment. At least I've got the bare minimum on me. So this would traditionally be a grenade pouch, is now going to be for my personal admin, torch, etc. We'll go ahead and pack that in just a moment. Got water bottle one side of me, water bottle the other side of me, and again another grenade pouch over here. And then you've got your classic med kit, first aid kit, your luxury item, floppy fold out kitchen sink from Sea to Summit. It's black on one side, so it heats up in the heat of the day and acts as a great little place to have a shower. This Condor bag here is another addition. It's all just thrown together and it just works so well for me. Okay, so the first and foremost that's going to go into this bag is going to be my sleep system, okay? And this is my medium weight military sleeping bag. You can see how small this packs down into, and it's pretty much going to take up the main bottom half of this little rucksack here. But being that it's got its own compression sack, I don't need to worry too much about water ingress. It goes inside a canoe bag. Okay, now the thing with these canoe bags is you want to try and get all the air out of these, okay? Otherwise they'll hold air. If you are going to do a river crossing, you open these up and get as much air in them as possible to help your whole pack float. that's the story for another day. So let's see if we can just, we want to try and make this as tight as possible. Fight that clip in there, okay? That is your sleep system. That's going to go into the bottom of the bag. Really shove that in there. It's got to be really tight. So there we go. That's the first item. Really, you're going to think about continuing that line of thought on this main compartment. I'm then going to go to my diamond tarpaulin and my hammock. Hammock's going to go in first for the simple fact that I want my tarpaulin to be the uppermost item that's easily, readily available to get to, along with the ridge line, because if I encounter really bad weather, okay, I'm going to want to make sure that that's in there as well. I'm going to want to deploy that shelter quickly and efficiently. Now, I've had a few questions on this before and people have left a few comments, so I just want to explain why I'm putting my shelter, my diamond tarpaulin, inside a canoe bag. Okay, some of you would be like, but surely that's waterproof, why are you waterproofing the waterproof? Well, because if you deploy your shelter and it's booning it down with rain, no matter how much you try and shake that thing out, when it comes to moving on, you then have to stuff and crush into your inside of your rucksack. It's not a good idea. So for that reason, I always have a canoe bag to house wet, horrible things like that. And then at the first area of convenience, I'll turn the canoe bag inside out and air that, and I'll air the tarpaulin and dry that again. It's always a nightmare trying to get all the air out of these things. So what I tend to do is roll it up into a really tight little ball, let all the air chase right out the end. And I'm going to fold the end over a couple of times, start to run it back towards itself. There we go. Okay, and then bring those two round like this. Okay, that's about as small as I can get that to go. And then that's going to go inside there, leaving one more item to go in the front here, and that is, of course, my Gore-Tex bivy bag, my sanctity, okay, in the outdoors. This will act as my emergency shelter as well. So if somebody, God forbid it doesn't happen, breaks an ankle, whatever, like, you have to stop and get out of the bad weather, shelter the casualty till help can arrive. You can literally just climb inside this thing and the whole world can leave you alone, because you are completely safe inside this Gore-Tex bivy bag from the outside elements. As a Royal Marine, this has saved my bacon on many occasions and is a really worthwhile piece of equipment to go out and purchase. Again, guys, don't be too overly worried about being really, you know, folding these into like the perfect shape to go away. You can literally stuff and crush these into shape. Okay. Now, being that this is only a 22-litre rucksack and we are pushing its boundaries here, it does leave me with a tiny little bit of room right in the top here. Okay, and that's usually just enough for my hat, my gloves, or maybe an additional thermal layer, which will be in a bag, sealed, and just sits inside here, okay, when that zips up. And when I put my hand down inside here, you'll have to trust me on this, there is space for about 2 fists down in the bottom, okay, and that's ideal for something like a vacuum packed thermal underlayer. So that would, all you do to vacuum pack this is let a little bit of air out the corner of your Ziploc bag, crush the whole thing down, you can hear all that air escaping, okay, crush the whole thing down and then just pull that last bit across, okay, and it's going to stay vacuum packed. Et voila. Okay, so that's then going to go into the bottom of the bag. Okay, cool. This is also the same compartment that the chorizo sausage, the lump of cheese and any other food items would normally, the bulk of my food would be going in here, and then if I'm not using the map, or if the map isn't lanyarded or attached to me, okay, that's going to be going up in that top compartment as well, and we'll be doing this up. Okay, so if I need it, the map is uppermost on the outside of the bag, I can just whip that out and get the map out. But usually it would be tucked inside my jacket and protected, or it would be lanyarded on a piece of elastic so I could never lose it. So another versatility point of this really useful little bag is the fact that it's got this bungee on the front, which I can use to attach my roll mat. Okay, next up it's going to be our water bottles. Now, being that this is my left hand one and the one that I'm most likely to reach around and grab to try and get a drink from, okay, the Crusader mug is going to act like a sleeve, which is going to help me obtain the water mug. And I've also put this little keyring on here, this little carabiner on here as a means to get my finger in to be able to pull out the water bottle quickly and easily. The Crusader mug means that it holds its shape inside here as well. Okay, and then just with my same left hand, I'll be able to manipulate these two closed together like that. It's just a practice thing. That leads us onto the two on the back here. One is going to be, obviously you can see here the cross. Okay, so this is going to have a med kit in it. This is a standard drill for Royal Marines on the battlefield. No matter how you personalise your equipment, your med kit always sits on your pouch on the back, and that is because if you are face first on the battlefield, out of the fight because you've taken a round or shrapnel or whatever, one of your oppos or your buddies can come up here, hence the great big grenade ring that I've used, so I can use this big thick gloves. I can still access the med kit easily, or someone else could on my behalf. So I'm going to be using this little waterproof stuff sack to put in my camping gas, my MSR pocket rocket camp cooker, okay, and then usually probably just those two items. I will then just close that down, make sure there's no air in there, and that's going to sit right in the very bottom of the med pack. Okay, and then on top here is the med kit. Okay, so this med kit is pretty much a bog standard med kit you'd expect to find most British soldiers carrying their own personal med kit on top of the first aid trauma stuff that you have to carry. This is no way comparable to the stuff I had to carry on the battlefield. On the battlefield I'd have to carry tourniquets, I'd have to carry Israeli bandages, I'd have to carry quick clot HEMCON. Inside here you're going to find much more the sort of stuff you'd expect, so needle and thread, blister kit, zinc oxide tape, microporous tape, set gloves, the usual ibuprofen, paracetamol, maybe some diarrhea if you've got the runs, maybe a small set of tweezers for picking out things like ticks. It's just going to be good quality bog standard stuff. Okay, so that's now heading into the bag. So you now have sleep system, water, some basic cooking stuff and med kit going in here. Okay, so next up we're on to the Condor pouch, and that just happens to fit perfectly with this Nalgene water bottle, which happens to fit perfectly inside this stainless Stanley nesting cup. It's got this pretty cool handle which kind of clicks into place. Lid is the first thing that's going to go in, okay, and that's going to go right in at the bottom. To make sure you try and orientate things so that, for instance, that handle wants to be at an angle that's not going to cause any problems to the process of opening this bag. So I'll just tuck that around like that, and again I've gone ahead and put a grenade ring pull on here. Just use a large keyring, it's the same thing. Oh my god, very importantly, the racing spoon. So important, the most important piece of equipment ever, surely, isn't it? Ta-da-da, the racing spoon goes in, fits succinctly inside there as well, and my Trex, okay, my fat or my lard or my cooking element, that's really useful to me. Okay, my millbank bag, my method of filtering water in order to purify it, which folds down basically smaller than a sock. So this is going to be definitely going into here alongside my little reel of paracord. Okay, my tent pegs are going to find their way into this little bag as well. Usually should fit perfectly right up to the edge of the zip. Yep. I'll close that over. So I really quite like to use these Maxwell House Latte cheap and cheerful coffee sachets when I'm on the trail. It's just nice and easy. So the lid for my Crusader cup, I have tested this, and that's not going to go inside the water bottle one because I managed to crack one of these before doing that. That's actually going to live just down the back of the inside of this pouch here. Still nice and easy to get to, as is my little wrap of silver foil, which could always come in handy when I'm trying to cook something in the outdoors. And my waterproof match lighting kit will go down the side of that again. Okay, so we'll do this one up. Ta-da-da-da-da-da, my all-purpose seasoning. Okay, that's going to sit just in front here in this excess space in front of my first aid kit. Let's pull that over. Cool. As I said, guys, this setup works for me, and I know it inside out, and I could find all this stuff in the dark. You'll have to work out your own way of doing stuff. Moving round to the side, I've then got this pouch here. Now, my left-hand side, okay, is going to be somewhere that I'm going to be looking for my microfiber towel packed in, along with my soap, my toothbrush, usually a pack of tissues, so we're talking personal administration here. Once I'm out of tissues, I'm moving on to local flora and fauna, or leaves that I know will work really well. My snapstick and my siloom is actually going to go on the other side. Okay, we're going to keep going round till we get to this side. Okay, now you'll notice there's a bit of room here. Now I've put a knife in here just to represent this, but if I was going to go away on a hunting trip, I would swap that probably for a small pouch, a detachable pouch that I'd have whatever ammunition. So inside here should be, yes, I'm going to get some grief for this from the other former Marines. I have actually fully lanyarded a lighter, so that it cannot get away from me. I cannot lose my lighter and leave it at my camp and then disappear off. Okay, so there's a lighter in here at all times. My torch. Okay, so my torch usually just sits down the inside here. There we go. And then, so that was a pretty brief breakdown of a simplified bag. Not too much complicated equipment going on in there, just the basics, and that I use when I'm out and about in lovely bits of woodland like this, or taking clients out. Rather unsurprisingly, we are the only people out on a micro adventure. There's no one else out here in the valley. Obviously, Splash Maps map sits with me, saw, knife come with me, and that is it there, pretty much good to go. The other really cool thing is I've carried many additional items on this bag thanks to these little clips on the side, because it means I can hook the head of my axe in here and fold that down, or I've stuck on a folding buck saw, other items, and sometimes stuff linear across here as well, and then put the waterproof cover on the whole lot to protect it, and it'll look something a little bit like this. So whatever equipment you decide to go with, you just need to make sure that it works for you. You know, there's lots of people like me out there on the internet showing you how our versions of things are, but just know that I'm doing it because I want to encourage you at home to get out and to have a go as well. Okay, join me on this quest. It's a beautiful time of year. We're just coming into spring now, and the actual act of packing a bag has a massive crossover to knowing that you feel adequately prepared to go on a journey in the outdoors. Just the very act of systematically packing your equipment can feel very, very calming. In the military, for a patrol, we would be going through a process, okay, porpozo, protection, ammunition, weapons, personal equipment, radios, specialist equipment orders. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that goes into a military patrol. And just in the same way, if you're going to head out into the woods, into the mountains, go camping, it's that kind of quiet inner confidence that you know that you've taken the time to prepare your equipment, right the way down to taping that last little seam, or double checking that things are properly held together, ensuring the stitching is still in good tact, and just overall having that, like I said, that quiet little voice in the back of your mind to know that you're ready for whatever the great outdoors is going to throw at you. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed what you saw, hit the like button. Up to inside Daddy's boots. Nana? Are you pulling Daddy's gloves out thinking it's a banana? Where's Daddy's glove? That's not a banana.